Welcome back to the shelf support and knee brace chapter. So what we're doing today is these are typically shelf supports, or sometimes referred to like as a knee brace, and they get larger and larger. And typically where you'll find them is you'll find them holding up a shelf. And they come in different shapes and sizes and kinds, and typically they're steel. And typically they will have a knee brace here, but they're definitely an engineered event just to, hold up that material. And these are some shelf examples. This one here is wood, cedar. It's not finished or sanded yet. This one here is the tile. It's actually floor tile. We find that at Home Depot. And this one you can screw into. This one here you have to glue to. This is more of an IKEA type board where it's just sawdust and glue. And you can screw into that one as well. And this other one is cedar as well. But because this one is probably the best for show and tell and the easiest for you to grab or to buy, you can buy short boards at the lumber yard, or some lumber yards, they'll sell you the board and they'll actually cut it for you, especially if you know them and shop with them quite a bit. So these are what we're making out of wood. So these are knee braces, or they're shelf brackets, and they're designed to do exactly what the metal bracket did, except made out of wood, made by you. So I'm going to get to showing in more detail those here in a minute. So as always, we start off with the basic building materials. We've got wood, clamps, glue, things to cut with, things to draw with. In this particular case, we're going to have some little brad nails. And we don't have a hammer in reach. There we go. Sorry about that. So in previous chapters, I think we showed you how to make a hammer, and this is one that we've made, so we'll use that today. So typical supplies: cut glue, nail. Okay, so as far as the wood, we use quite a variety. This is the Shayla Group sticks we've always been using, kind of standard operating procedures. This is a knee brace. So we like to start off with a good corner fit. And what that's going to mean is you're going to cut, see how this handle is here? You're going to, cut your desired length. That's going to be down the wall. And cut your desired length that's going to be on the shelf. So you don't want to get the cart before the horse, or the shelf bracket before the shelf. So you're going to want to know how big your shelf is so that you can make the right size bracket that will hold that shelf up. So that involves cutting these to the right distance. And I like, once those are cut, simple glue will not really hold this joint. And so that's why we pin it with some of the brad nails. And in that chapter for tools, we made this little screwdriver. And this part comes out. If you really wanted to, you could, or you can slip it into this side. But I do like to pilot the hole, especially when it's a thin wood like this. I like to pilot the nail. Otherwise, you have a tendency to might flare out and pop out the side right here. Okay, so a little bit of a pilot hole. Also, you notice I have it secured to this bracket. And we use these brackets to bend around for right angle bends. But in this case, what we like to do is we're able to hold it in place. If all you're trying to do is hold these two boards and stabilize it and hold nails and little brads, that's going to be a real cumbersome event. Putting it on the bracket with the clamps makes it a lot easier. Also, pre-drilling the hole allows you not having to, hold it and get the hammer real close in the way. I did skip a step because all this was clamped, but you do want to put a little glue in there when you nail it in because that'll just add to the stability of it. But glue alone wouldn't necessarily do it. And you don't have to use the homemade hammer by any means. You can use a store-bought hammer. But where is the creativity in that? So once you have the bracket shape, one part screws to the wall and one part screws to the shelf. The other thing that's ideal for supporting the corner is gluing a right angle. So in this particular case, these were, okay. So in another chapter, we showed you how to make these I-beam bending molds. Also, these are parts that can be designed for furniture type making or small scale engineering. This is an I-beam. But we showed you how to make right angle bends. And so once that is made and bent, you can put that in there. See the little nail that came out? But you can put that, glue that into place right there. And that way you know that that corner is not going to come out. It's got a little bit of glue. It's got the nails. And then this piece here is a real stability part. These other items here are more right angle bends. Right angle bend. And these are designed to do 45s. So once you have those, that alone will not support the shelf. You now need a knee brace for it. See the difference there? You now need this brace, and that can be accomplished in a whole bunch of different ways. You can, earlier chapter, we showed you how to make this bending jig. Those are 2 cuts, 22.5 degrees to make 45. And then you bend the paint stir sticks. And it's okay. You see a little bit of cutting or tearing and ripping. That's okay, because this one here is good. And over 50% of this one is still good. When they're glued together, you get this. And then you glue it onto your knee brace. If you wanted a little different look, like, if you want a little different look, like this one, see the gap in the middle? You switch, kind of like magic, where these are. And because one is bigger and one is smaller, you're going to get that gap. But also when the shelf stress comes down, you see how it pinches in the middle? That's why you add this piece here. And so when there is stress on the shelf and it pinches, it won't allow it to pinch because there's that support in the middle. Once you get these two glued up, clamped, and secured, then you can go on to painting and decorating and sanding and such. So in this particular case, remember, if you bring it forward, one forward like that, then add the piece. And you might want to consider cutting these ends off because you've now made the one in the front longer and farther out than where it was in the back. So some prep and consideration for that. And then once you get the shelves done, here's some other designs. You are either gluing it to the bottom of the shelf or screwing it to the bottom and screwing it to the wall. So these are just some examples of different shelves. We got the nails. We have the handle look. So that might be up against the wall. These are a little different. I let the handle part hang down so it becomes a decorative part on the wall. You can add a hook to that, played by this, or make your own hook, or buy a hook. In this particular case, you walk over here, excuse me. Didn't prep that out. So in this particular case, this is a